This is the trial version of Age of Empires. It came on like a blue CD that had like internet. Get started with the internet or something silly. And it came with Flight Simulator 98. So I bought Flight Simulator 98 because my dad was a pilot and my friend's dad was a pilot, and aviation was kind of a relatively large interest at that age. And my dad supported that interest. He wasn't crazy about video games, but he enjoyed Flight Simulator. So, yeah, I got that disc. That was like, it was right around 90. I don't know when Flight Simulator 98 came out, but it had to be sometime after about 97. And anyway, I discovered that there were demos on this disc, game demos. And I took a liking to this opening moves for one simple reason. I could actually beat it. It felt like a real scenario, like a difficult one, but one I could beat. And the simple reason was that the red AI is locked behind a bunch of trees and they don't have access to docks. So you only discover them later on. So you have time to kind of like prepare for the battle. Whereas the yellow AI is a much easier AI to beat. And so you get a bit of a taste of the fight, and then I love the concept. And the start is very similar to a scenario that's part of the base game. The reason I'm playing this today, and I'm playing it on the original, like I got it to run on this software, is because they have the Reign of the Hittites campaign in Return of Rome, the DLC for Age of Empires 2. I was very excited, except they've changed it. They've changed the map. It's not the same thing anymore, and it really sucks. And you can't play it you can't import this campaign file into Age of Empires 2 because this is an Age of Empires 1 campaign. So it has to be played either in this, or I think in the Age of Empires Definitive Edition you can play it, and maybe next time I'll do that. I'll play this in the Definitive Edition. But today we're going old school, exactly the way we experienced it, except for the fact that I'm running on modern hardware. So let's get started. It's still loud. I'm going to turn on the audio here. All right. So you start with 2 priests, and I don't know why it's so loud. And you gotta come and you gotta convert some villagers to start your civilization. It's kind of like Nomad, except, hey, this would be a cool idea for a multiplayer, is to start just with a monk, and you have to... All right, the problem with moderate is that these villagers will actually fight back. We'll just live with 1 villager. I want to keep my monks alive, or no monks, my priests alive. I played Battle of Kadesh recently, which is the final scenario. I think maybe we should just put our town center up here. Whatever, we'll do that. I played the Battle of Kadesh, which was a very difficult scenario by my judgment when I played the trial version of the game. And I would play it on, like, I think probably the easiest difficulty. I couldn't win that. I couldn't beat that scenario. I posted a clip of me playing it previously. It was just me microing some stone throwers. And, oh, I can actually go immediately to the tool age. And it was so much easier to play than I remembered. And that whole video, it was like a 40-minute long video, but the audio was messed up because I didn't actually record the game audio. The game audio came through my headphones because I wear open back headphones. And so it was very frustrating that the audio didn't come through. And I wasn't saying anything interesting. You could just hear me breathing in the background and coughing or whatever. Let's just do that. Oh, of course. B, build, and then E. Okay. We'll just make some house walls. Anyway, I beat the game just fine, and I was on moderate. It is a little challenging on moderate, especially because you can only queue up one thing at a time. Like, this is not a user-friendly... Age of Empires 2 has a lot of quality of life improvements that we take for granted. That cat, like, it holds up when it switches tracks. I think it must be the MIDI player that... I don't know. I don't really understand. Anyway, I beat it just fine on moderate. But the difference is I know how to play the game now, and that is you gotta actually grow your economy. It always seems like you're wasting food when you make villagers when you're new to the game. You don't want to put down multiple collection buildings because that feels inefficient, like a waste of wood. Not realizing that you actually want very efficient collection rates. I feel like I need a guard. We have the monks, priests for now, so we'll just do that. Okay, is there a hotkey to get to my H? Okay, good. And then it's C. I'm gonna totally screw up my hotkey knowledge by doing this. Yeah, you have to queue villagers one at a time. Queue any units one at a time. There was no queues. You can't queue anything. Even in Age of Empires 2, you couldn't queue, like, you can queue waypoints like this. But you can't queue tasks. You can't do that and then go that. Yeah, see. No clue what to do. Okay, H, C. All right. I have actually a ton of wood. I don't really need much wood right now. You also can't double click on a unit to select all units of that type. And yet, the big thing... Oh, okay, there was queuing in Rise of Rome. So they had queues. They had unit queues. But you could only queue one type of thing. So you could queue like one type of unit. You couldn't queue multiple types of units. So you could queue units, which was huge. You couldn't queue technologies. And then the big thing was that the Fog of War shadows were soft. So they kind of had a little curve on the edge. And that was like a big deal. It felt like a big deal. In hindsight, it really was not a big deal. Yeah, the queues were huge, and then also farms, I believe. No, farms you couldn't. That was Age of Empires. That was the Conquerors where you could queue farms. Farms were terrible in this game. Let's actually build a market, and I'll show you. Sorry, guys. This is still loud. I don't know why. The MIDI player is just loud or something. Hopefully now the game audio isn't too low, but my voice is actually not that high either. Now we're fine. See how it it hangs when it changes tracks. So what I'm gonna do is I'll click these berries, then I'll go grab this hunt. Oh no, wait, you know what? The AI is gonna grab that. So we're gonna make some army. Actually, I should make archers. So archers, bowmen, they cost food and wood. They're kind of expensive if you think about it. Because collecting food is actually a challenge. And I don't think... Collecting food is actually harder in this game. I don't think there's any hunt bonus. Now, I'm just talking... I have no knowledge of this game aside from what I learned by myself in pre-2000. Because once Age of Empires 2 came out, we basically stopped playing this. Once I bought the Age of Empires and the Conquerors around 2000, remember Christmas of 2000 or 2001? I'm actually not remembering. It had to be 2000 because 9/11 hadn't happened yet. After that, I don't think I ever touched this game again. I just was uninterested. I was like, well, I got a much better game now. It doesn't grab technologies they can't afford, which I think is interesting. We'll do that. Yeah, so once Age of Empires 2 came out, I stopped playing this. And, but, I'll tell, I didn't have access to this game. The reason I'm playing this trial version is because I played this a lot. This was like my formative experience with Age of Empires. Because we didn't as a family, we did not just run out and buy video games as soon as we were interested in them. We didn't actually have a store nearby that would sell software. That's a whole story of its own, and I guess we got time to talk about it. I grew up in an extremely rural place. I grew up in Mozambique. You can look that up on a map. And not only did I grow up in Mozambique, I grew up in a rural part of Mozambique. We didn't have 24-hour electricity. We had a diesel generator for our electricity, so I got a few hours of electricity in the morning and a few hours of electricity at night. We didn't have internet. We would use a radio, a shortwave radio, to receive email using it's called Pactor. It's a Pactor something. It's a digital communication. Oh, I need more houses. It's a digital communication method, digital mode on radio. Kind of like modems, but you'd be using the airwaves. Oh boy, come on. That's how we got email. And for anything more than that, we had to we didn't even have phone lines because if there was no power lines, there's certainly no phone lines. It was a very remote place, and I grew up there because my parents they're still missionaries out in Mozambique. Yeah, so I got Flight Simulator 98, and I played that, and then I played this demo to death. And then I remember my grandfather could get access to software because he was still back in Canada. I'm originally from Canada, and I remember he sent it out. It was part of an educational, because we schooled at home as well because we lived in the middle of nowhere, and I think I was able to convince my parents that this was like historically educational or something. I'm not paying attention here. I'm probably gonna lose. So yeah, that was the selling point to get Age of Empires. It's part of my history curriculum or something, which is kind of funny. I did learn a little bit, I guess. It did keep me interested in history, and I would have studied history in college, except there's really no jobs in studying history as far as I can tell. I'm probably going to offend someone with a doctorate in that. I wonder if there's a short key for market. Control M? No. I don't even want the market. I want this. We'll do that. Anyway, needless to say, I played this demo because it was all I had. I played this demo to death. I played this scenario particularly to death. I would try every possibility for, I would try everything. Once I did basically a tower rush where I basically filled everywhere with towers. You would only get 400 gold here. There was no way to get gold. There's gold mines on the other side of the map here. But, I actually have quite a bit of army here. We'll be fine. There is some gold mines on the other side of the map, but you can't, I used to try my best to get to that gold, but it would get mined before I could really get any of it. And the other opponent actually has a lot of resources, so they just make army. You can see by their score, they actually just have a lot of stockpile of resources, so they just quickly replace their army. And they have gold army, so they've got the short swordsmen, and you really can't compete. So trying to take that gold is basically impossible. So I would experiment with different ways to spend this. I would spend it on stone throwers, siege, which would end up getting just destroyed. Actually the best way to spend it, I found, was to make hoplites at the academy, because they have such tanky stats, and you could basically rip through the other opponent quite far with a set of those. But I think you could only make they were 80 gold a piece. Or no, it must have been 40 gold a piece. You could make 10 of them or something. All right. We need food. Eco-management. Everything's so automatic these days. Kids don't know how good they got it these days. This is the way, this is real, Let's really test your APM. Actually, I'm going to put a storage pit here because we're going to want to chop through these trees to get to the other enemy. I'm also going to build a dock, but what's going on here, guys? Let's kill the enemy. Where are their villagers? Well, we'll destroy their houses. That way they're housed. Yeah, we really don't need more wood, guys. Let's do food. We have to do farms. Okay, build. F, farm. See, that makes sense. You could at least shift Q, but they don't really properly shift Q. You at least hold down shift so you can get multiple of one building. Axeman. I think they're dead here. So the good thing about killing them quick is that you have all the stone you can make use of. And I'll be honest, when I first played this game, I was so like I used to play it on easiest. I'm playing it on moderate. I used to play it on easiest, and you would get to the point where they'd be sending clubmen in 2x2 to attack me, and that was like a huge challenge to me. Maybe I was playing it on a harder difficulty by that point. Maybe this is the one scenario I could play harder. I should retract that statement. Maybe I wasn't that crappy at the game. But I remember I used to actually feel like I had to rush to get this stone. Whereas now I'm just sitting here chatting with you guys and I already got the stone. So it's amazing learning a few fundamentals about how to play. Like, I didn't know how to play this game. No one taught me. There was no internet. There was no T90 or Spirit of the Law. It was an intelligence test, and I was definitely average intelligence, and so, you know, I can learn a lot. I can do pretty well in life when I have someone to learn from, but if you got no one to learn from, it can be very difficult. See, I really want to go up. How many villagers do we have? There's no way to tell villager population. And I don't know if you can tell idle. Is there an idle villager key? I don't think so. No, there's not. At least it's not period, if there is. So, like, your economy could go off the like, totally off the tracks. I was playing Battle of Kadesh the other day, and I come back to my town, and all my farmers are dead. The army had raided me, and, like, somehow it didn't notify me adequately that it was happening, because I think it uses the same notification sound for all attacks, or all engagements. And I was like, I had no economy. I had to like start my economy up again. All right, yeah, like they're dead. So what we'll do now is we'll go to Bronze Age, and then we'll attack the other opponent. We're gonna need to get food income here. So we'll put these guys onto farms. Build farm. And they can't walk on farms. Farms are not walkable. It was amazing. Like, Age of Empires 2 was such a revolution. Now, compared to other strategy games, maybe it wasn't, right? Maybe it's just that this was an especially crappy example of a RTS. How long have these guys been standing here? But I didn't really play other RTSs. I played a few, but none that really had staying power for me. I was aware of other video like RTSs, but this is the one I played most. I played the demo of it was another Microsoft game at the time, Urban Assault, which was like a first-person RTS. It's like a futuristic one where you go around with like tanks and helicopters and jets, and you attack your enemy. You can actually take control of your units and fly them first person. A really cool game. I don't think it really, no one played it. I bought the game more recently, as in like 20 years ago. As an adult, I bought the game, and I enjoyed it, but there's no one playing the game anymore, and it's not fun to play by yourself. It's fun to be played with people, right? So, there we go. Mitanni are defeated. So now I can come boom my eco up here. Alright, so instead of chopping all the way through those trees, what we will do is we will just create a dock. So this game doesn't take all day. I may truly run out of things to talk about by then. Dock. Look at that. Makes so much sense. Are there shorefish? I think there are shorefish. I don't see shorefish, but I think shorefish exist. There's a whale that you can fish over here somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. That's pretty bad that I know that. Oh yeah, there's some shorefish. You can't access them though. Incidentally, I'm playing on 800 by 600 because if you go here, You can't actually change your resolution. We'll get that. Oh, no, wait, no, I don't want that. I want this. It costs 800 food, no gold to go to the next stage, which is good because you have limited gold in this. That was sort of like the thing. There were gold in some of these scenarios, but Battle of Kadesh was like an open map by comparison to this. This is what I would consider. It's like Michi in essence, because you really can't see your opponent unless you transport across to them or you cut through the trees. And again, your opponent can't get to you. The AI didn't build docks, or they gave him deep water on that side. I don't really remember. Idle time, idle villager time. I'll put a town center right here as soon as I get up. No progresses to the next stage. All right, let's take a look around. Let's take a gander. Yeah, I think what I'll do, I don't know. Only like 2 other people in the world are going to really care about this comparison. But I'm gonna repeat this. I'm gonna play the scenario also in the definitive edition, like Age of Empires 1 definitive edition, because it'll run. Because as far as I know, everything's compatible to definitive edition. Scout rush. And then what I'll do is I'll repeat this on Bronze Age now. I'll repeat this on the newest, on the Return of Rome, right? Anyway, the DLC, the Age of Empires 2 DLC. Oh yeah, you need a government center before you can put down a town center. I think it would be interesting to show you why I hate the new version. Because anyone, and here's the thing, you could argue actually that it's probably better than it was, but the fundamental problem with it is that anyone who is playing this scenario in, this many years later is not playing it because it's a great scenario. Anyone playing Return to Rome, I really need to figure out what that DLC is called. They're playing it for nostalgia. And so anyone playing Reign of the Hittites is playing for nostalgia. They're not playing because it's a particular. They're not coming to it organically. They're playing Age of Empires 2, which has it has a large multiplayer base. No one's playing Age of Empires 1 organically anymore. They are coming back to it to relive the glory years. So it bothers me that they go and change stuff because people are trying to play something that they remember, not play something new, right? And you could argue, oh, it's a fresh take on it, and people will be honored to try it in a new way. No. Or, that's fine, do that, but give us the original as well. Give us both. But I guess we do have both. We can come play this. Anyway. But I would love the pathfinding of Age of Empires 2 on this map. Alright, enough ranting. What are we doing here? So I remember the Hittites, they get +4 range on their ships, which is enormous. I don't think this game was particularly... I don't think there's any notifications when your farms run out. This game was not balanced. Basically what you do is you go to the Iron Age and you spam siege. Siege, like mass siege, has such a huge blast radius, you would just wipe out everything. Frankly, that kind of works that way now. Like, Michi, sometimes people will cut through the trees and they'll just have, like, straight siege onagers, and it's one of those things that you can barely even approach. I still think that it's better because you can run in, like, 1 or 2 hussars and cost-effectively wipe them all out because they'll damage themselves. And maybe that works even in this game. I guess I could give it a try. But I just remember playing this online once or twice, and it's not a very balanced. It never felt balanced. Okay, see, these cost gold now, and I have limited gold. So the question is it worth getting an upgrade? Or is it worth making units? I'm gonna do what I did as a dumb kid who never really thought through this. Nowadays, I might actually do that. Okay, why can't we get an academy? What? building do we need to get an academy? A stable or something stupid? Let's build a stable. Yeah, we'll do that. We can get that, because that only costs food. I'd make 4 of these war galleys, and I'd give them group 4, control group 4. And to this day, I still, yeah, the gold is right there. To this day, I still give my ships control 4, just because I'm so, that's what I expect them to be on. If I have a navy, it's on control 4. Or control 5 if I need two control groups for navy. It's funny how things carry over that long. You get into the habit of something, and it's like, well, if it works, don't fix it. I'm also going to want some transport ships, because I'm not going to wait to cut through the trees. You can, though. You can dedicate hours to slowly cutting through this isthmus. Would that be what you call this? We can also put a dock on this side once we cut through here. And then their main town is actually down here. And so you can transport across the water that way. It's a little bit inaccessible, because you actually have to chop to this point to actually build a dock. And by that time, you're already coming across the water over here. But all right, let's get a transport ship. 5. You can carry 5. And that was actually true in Age of Empires 2. You can only carry 5 with the first transport ship upgrade. Which seems kind of absurd by today's standards, but it was the case. Okay, we're floating a ton of this. Maybe we can do it like a tower rush. See, the problem is the towers actually should get shot down. If you're going to do anything, you want to kind of put the towers in inaccessible locations. So we could build a tower over here, maybe. That would be fun. We're going to need more. But yeah, your economy was always quite small because the population limit is 50. I'm not pop capped right now. I could get pop capped, I guess. What I actually want is the wheel, which makes your villagers run, and it also gives you chariots, chariot archers, I think they're called. We'll just do an initial attack here since we've got these guys. Oh yeah, like, and this never changed. This never got better. Shockingly, Age of Empires 2 still has this crap going on where your transport ships don't know how to pathfind to pick up guys. Like, it's amazing what things just haven't gotten better. That's one of them. Yeah, we'll go drop off up here, and we'll come and do some towers. While you guys are sitting here, we'll build some production facilities. This is another thing I never did. I never thought to build like multiple of a building. That was just unheard of. Why would you waste the wood? Those are expensive buildings. They're hundreds of wood. It never occurred to me. To this day, I don't produce enough production buildings. When I think of it, I'll do it, but it's something that, like, other people I play with, they'll just create scads of production buildings. And sometimes I'll die with tons of resources left in the bank because I just couldn't produce enough. And I died too quickly. Any food, guys? Well, we'll mine stone, I guess. Actually, we're gonna need a pile of food. Yeah, farm 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's go kill. And wait for the songs change. Oh, he died easy. Aha! Surprise! Raiding party. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oops, what happened? One? Oh no! The taunts aren't in this. I have the game. I still have it on CD. I don't have a CD player in this computer, or a DVD or a Blu-ray or anything. So installing it, I'd have to get an external. Oh, that's a disappointment. That would have been fun. Yeah, I used to pull. Yeah, look at that oldest army. Like, you just get wrecked. I used to pull this. Oh, of course. I used to pull this campaign scenario over from the trial version. I would install the trial, grab the CPN file, the campaign file, so that I could play this campaign, because it's the one that I played the most, and I still liked it even once I got the full game. I would still want to play it, even though you have limited access to gold. And then I remember trying to extract the scenario file so I could add gold into it and enable. Oh, there's no Iron Age. There is an Iron Age, but you don't get it in the trial version of the game. Right now, people will be wondering why I'm even wasting my time playing the trial version in 2026. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to just remember how things were. Not something I do regularly. In fact, I didn't even know this would run. The trial version would run on Windows 10. Do I have Windows 10? Yeah, Windows 10. My other PCs have Windows 11. I still have Windows 10 on this. So it's unsupported at this point. We'll see how long I go without getting malware. I do have a Linux computer. It's just really hard to switch to a new operating system when you've been spending your whole life using one particular type of operating system. So there are things I do like. Every time I use Linux, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like this. But then there's so much other stuff that it's like you spend hours browsing the internet. Like, oh, how do I do this one simple thing? All I want to do is this one thing. How do I do that? So I'm sorry, but there are some user experience things that are lacking still. Look at this. What is this? DE pathfinding? Wonder if I can drop. Oh yeah, I was gonna drop. I was gonna make some towers. I should probably get pop capped before dropping off. S stops. Yeah, if you try and like spam click, you're gonna. Oh goodness, guy. That's my bad. I created a whole wall of farms. All right. Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah, boy. All right. What can we upgrade for these guys? Oh, yeah. I was going to make hoplites. There we go. Yeah, you need a stable to do an academy. And we'll do 2 academies because we're going to run out of gold pretty fast. Yeah, that's what we'll do just for old time's sake. But I think that these are the better plan because they don't require gold. They're a pretty good unit, and they are basically a trash unit. Although, I think were there a lot of trash units back then? There was only trade would get you gold. Ocean trade. There was no, like, your markets don't produce trade carts. And you couldn't trade at your market. So if we go to our market here, you can't buy and sell resources. We should grab that though for our farms. Look at this. Just coming out of the woodwork. I could micro. Here, let's micro. Notice that there's also no formations. And I don't think you ever get ballistics. You just miss a whole bunch. And now, if we stay back enough, I think we can outrange this tower. Yeah, there. You can outrange the tower. So if we just sit here, we can kill the tower. But it's a little bit finicky. Yeah, these are... Yeah, 40 gold. So you can make 10 of them. And they are really tanky units. Yeah, like... Yeah, and there goes the... Oh, goodness. All right. Build farm. Build farm. Build farm. I would love to see my retention statistics on this video. Oh, that's already full. All right. Oh, did they never get dropped off? Of course they didn't. Yeah, it's gonna take a special sort to want to sit here and watch this. Yeah, Age of Empires 2 was a revolution when it came out. It was our neighbor. He was like an adult who liked the game, so you know, kind of like me. My dad had no time for video games. He'd always walk by and be like, "Are you maiming and massacring again?" Which is very funny because like he would watch R-rated like movies with us, like for violence, right? Like he wasn't exposing us to other stuff at that age, but like I remember watching plenty of violence in movies, and that never really seemed to bother him. But somehow, as a video game, you know, I remember being like, "Oh well, maybe it's not good to be doing." You know, I don't know. It's funny. Video games just weren't his thing. Anyway, but our neighbor, he bought Age of Empires 2, and he lent it to us, and that was huge. We played through the William Wallace campaign, but it was. I know that it released in like October of '98, but by the time we got the game, it was like a year later, and then we got the Conquerors almost immediately. Yeah, that Christmas we were visiting my grandparents, and that's all we did is we played the Conquerors. And back then you had to pay to use your phone. Like, you know, you had to pay for every minute you used on your phone. But they'd introduced a new plan, I think in reaction to the rise of internet gaming, where people were tying up the phone line with their modem, where during non-peak hours after like 6 p.m., you could basically use your phone for as much time as you wanted for basically a fixed price, right? You'd pay a monthly plan fee. So during the day, you had to pay per minute, but at night, you could just use it unlimited. And so I remember asking my grandparents, please, can you get on this plan so we can do some online gaming? And so that was my first experience doing proper online gaming, was with the Conquerors. Although, I think it must have been that same visit before I actually... When would that have been? I do remember playing this multiplayer as well. I think it's before I got the game, or it was on a... I don't remember the reason. But I remember also playing this multiplayer against strangers on the internet. And getting absolutely just wiped out. I remember some guy was nice enough to give me some advice. He was like, "Oh well, make 7 fishing ships." It was like Mediterranean that we were playing, and that was my first exposure to try to fish boom. But I never really like knew when to make them. Right, the whole advantage to fish booming is that you're growing your economy faster than you normally would be able to, because you have basically an extra production building, and you're not using food, you're using wood to grow your eco. But I didn't understand that at that age. I just was like, oh well, making those ships is the secret to being good at this game. Yeah, no, I was still terrible at it. What's my population at? Oh, good grief, guys. Oh, good grief. Yeah, I remember trying to start a clan for Age of Empires 2. Then the guy just disappeared. Back then, it was like, I think it was like someone I knew through The Zone, right? It was still The Zone back then. This is before Voobly. He just disappeared one day. He never logged in. And so I was like, okay. But again, we lived... This is while I was visiting my... You know, missionaries go on what's called furlough. So they... You know, when we lived way out in the middle of nowhere, we would go back. Every 4 years, we would go back to Canada, and we would, you know, be around the United States as well, visiting people. But we'd be back for a year at a time. And it was during this time that I did a lot of this gaming on the internet. But then we take the game and we move back to, you know, Mozambique, middle of absolute nowhere. And yeah, okay, we're pop capped here. I think we've already killed this guy. This is a lot easier than I remember it being. Yeah, move back to the middle of nowhere. And I wanted to play multiplayer. And I remember, I even did it with this version of the game, trying to figure out how I could play multiplayer. I remember getting like a serial cable, and you'd have a serial port on your computer back then. And I remember trying to like plug in the serial port between two laptops to make it work, or between the laptop and our desktop, because I don't remember if we had, my dad had like one of these old, I don't remember the name of the laptop. Was it called a Satellite? Does that make sense? Anyway, some like, I don't know, whatever. It was he had a laptop and we had a desktop, and I remember trying to, oh boy, I lost my whole army because they were attacking a building. I couldn't make it work though. I couldn't make the serial connection work, and I don't know why to this day it didn't work. I think I just fundamentally misunderstand how to do it. I think it probably was as simple as the serial cable, the TX RX wires weren't crossed over. Because you get different types of cables. Some have that crossover for direct connection, some don't. And it just, I couldn't make it work because the cable I had was, I think, meant for a completely different purpose, interfacing to some sort of equipment that, anyway, I don't even know. But I couldn't make it work. But then once we had Age of Empires 2, I remember doing a bunch of research on how to connect two desktops together, because we had two desktops. I had a desktop, my parents had a desktop. And I was going to figure out how to do it. I found out that you need a crossover cable. So when we were in South Africa is fairly modern. They had, Mozambique was like post-war. They'd been through 30 years of war, and even at that time, it had only been like 5 or 6 years, 7 years past their civil war. They were still like a mess. They didn't have modern conveniences, but South Africa did. And so I remember in South Africa, I went to one of their kind of like a Best Buy or a Micro Center, right? Like one of their tech stores. Trying to remember the name of it. That would have been fun. Anyway, whatever. Probably was Pick and Pay, if I'm being honest. Talked to the guys. I was like, yeah, I need... oh, see, the archers are going to kill me now. I remember saying, yeah, I need a crossover cable. And he was able to get me a crossover cable. And I took that back with me. And sure enough, we were able to do TCP/IP multiplayer. And that was amazing. It was so exciting. So it would just plug directly between the network interface cards on the two desktops. You didn't need to switch because of this crossover cable. And again, it's just two wires that need to be crossed to make it work directly. And it was the bane of my existence trying to figure out how to do that. And so, yeah, we would play head-to-head. And we would play the whole, you spend about an hour getting to the Imperial Age, and you pop cap, and then you just mash your armies together. And that was just how we played the game. We never got very good at it. And so when I finally went to Canada to start college, I was terrible at playing multiplayer because I didn't know how to play. I would only play with my sister and a friend, and we were just terrible at the game. We had fun, but we were terrible at it. I've been watching my daughter play with her cousin, and it kind of reminds me of how we used to play, except they're even younger, so they play even worse than we did, probably. But it's still, it kind of reminds me of the old days of playing this game when you really didn't know how to play. All these towers. Okay. We're not going to quite pull it together here. You guys are going to go transport ship. Yeah, and, then when I started college, I remember specifically one time being up all night playing this game. I could see the sun rising. I was like, oh, I should probably go to bed now. But you could get away with all kinds of stuff when you were young, and when you had very few responsibilities. As a student, life's pretty easy, to be honest. And yeah, I was in engineering, but, I blew off my responsibilities regularly. Near the end of college, I pulled myself together, got my grades up, but, plenty of procrastination in the early years. But I would avoid playing random map because I was so bad at it. I basically stuck to custom scenarios, So I'll play Castle Blood and all these other. There's one called Cavalry Wars, I think. It was actually a fun scenario. I probably have it still somewhere stored. One was called Hitman, where you. Oh, give me a break. One was called Hitman, where the host is like this all-powerful guy who will like sell you army. And I don't remember, but you were also separated from other enemies, and you'd have to pay a passage fee. I don't know. I think it was like the host, anyone who had like a god complex, kind of wanted to control everyone, micromanage gameplay or something. I don't really. I understood the appeal. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be a host of this. But I wonder if I could find that scenario. It might be fun to try some of these things with the gang during our community games, just for the sake of being like, let's try this crazy thing out. These days, it's basically like custom scenarios are basically just Castle Blood. I feel like there's not quite as much variety as there used to be. There used to be a wide range of variety in terms of custom scenarios. All right, it's Castle Rush. Castle Rush. Tower. It's Tower Rush. Well, I'm running out of things to talk about, which is, I guess it's good that we have basically killed this. I would spend way longer. It's been an hour and 7 minutes at 2 times speed. So we're at, what, 45 minutes of real time? No, I would play this for 2. I would save it, right? I'd go here and be like, opening moves 1. This is going way faster than I ever... Let's build barracks. They have a building bonus, right? Yeah, you have to destroy every single building, and we'll destroy every single building here. So if you want to tune out now is certainly a good time to start tuning out, because this is not going to be particularly stimulating content now. Except maybe I'll have an Easter egg at the end of this video. Or maybe I won't. Oh, I'm under attack. Oh. Sure. Attack that. T train. Okay. Oh, found another tower. Yeah, no murder holes necessary in this game. Murder holes always seem like a little bit of a gimmicky tech. Like, really, you can't kill someone at the base of your tower? Maybe it's not. Maybe there is a real problem with... I don't know. Maybe it's based in reality. It always felt like a little bit gimmicky. Oh no, got a million villagers beating our castle to death. I guess we're gonna die, right? Like, no way. But whatever. It's a game. It doesn't really make a lot of sense either. If you want accuracy, go play something more tactical. Just an RTS. I don't think buildings had quite the same armor that they do in Age of Empires 2. Like, look how fast this house is going down. Do houses count? I think everything counts. There's no resigning. The AI does not resign in this, by the way. You have to destroy everything. Yeah! Show those Mittani who's boss. Victory! Congratulations! Your empire has begun to quickly fill the lands once held by the Mittani, and you now have an open corridor into Babylon. Your people are confident in your leadership, but you will certainly face greater challenges in the future. Historical outcome: The Hittites pushed into the northern part of the Fertile Crescent, driving back outposts of both the Egyptians and the Mitanni. The Mitanni suffered especially from the Hittite advance, losing important cities at river crossings and along the coast. Yet the Hittites took advantage of Mitanni wars against Assyria to the east. During the period, the Hittites earned the reputation as warriors and had sufficient impact on history to be mentioned many years later in biblical accounts. It talks about biblical accounts. There's no like Israelite civilization in this. So I find it ironic that like the Bible mentions this culture. Yeah, the people group are surrounding like, that the Bible focuses on that never gets featured. Let's see. Villager high. Yeah, that's how you do it. Hey, one conversion. Look at me go. Check the timeline. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. That's it. Yeah, so there was Homelands, which is basically just a learning scenario. It's like the first scenario of the Egypt campaign. And then there's Growing Pains, which is kind of like learning how to fight. You just had a fixed army. There's that one that we just played. And these are more conventional scenarios. They're a bit more open than opening moves. Then there was this. Maybe we'll save that for another time. This is a long enough video now. Why is this game audio so high? I may have to rebalance the audio in post. Anyway, let's cancel.